Hello, my name is Marian. I'm from the blog Miss Mustard Seed.
And I'm Kriste. I'm from the blog Marian Time.
And this is Design Ramblings, where we talk about all things design related. And today we're going to talk about just stuff that you have in your house. Yes. And this was prompted by an email we received, and I thought, actually a comment, and I thought that it was just a really good subject for us to talk about. So this is from Naomi, and she was talking to me. She said that she really liked sort of the peaceful calm that I've achieved in the look of my home. Now,
who doesn't?
I will say it's
For
not
real.
It's not peaceful and calm when there's like snow gear everywhere, and really like my boys have their like Bionicle Lego guys all lined up on the table, and they're shooting them with Nerf guns, and so that's what goes on in that peaceful space. But I think what she's saying is like it's just not cluttered. It feels very light and airy. And she says, my living room grates on my nerves with too much dark furniture that I can't bear to part with. Also, some of them are family pieces, and she does love them. She just needs a house about 3 times as big as mine to do them justice. Since that is an imminent what to do. So I think that's a really good question because I think a lot of people do inherit pieces that they love, or maybe they just love, like they love going to auctions or to thrift stores or flea markets, and they find these great pieces, and then their home is becoming like an antique store. It's just with like hutches lined up and then filled to the brim with whatever they love collecting. So what would you say to someone who's she's in that kind of situation where she feels like the room's kind of crowded, but she's hesitant to let things go?
I think it's really hard. When I first moved out of my parents' house, they gave me my childhood couch that I had grown up with, and it was this like huge overstuffed Victorian couch that was more like a daybed than a couch. It was huge. And I lugged that thing around, like, apartment after apartment, and finally my husband was like, it is too big.
It's time.
It's like, I'm not moving this to another, my first apartment was on the 3rd floor. We moved it up this,
nice.
This, like, Civil War house with a tiny little staircase. We moved it, So I think when the functionality doesn't really match with your lifestyle, that's kind of the point where you have to really think about, why am I keeping this? Is it, and sentimental things are the hardest, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's just, you're so attached to it. And, it took me 3 years to get over getting rid of that couch. And let me tell you, it was not easy to make the decision. And then second of all, when they came, we had the garbage men come pick it up. And we stood there and watched them, like, stick it in the, like, compact.
Oh. You actually watched it, like.
And I was, like, sitting there, like, crying almost.
That's
and David's
so
like,
funny.
oh, great. Thanks, guys. Gonna just take it away. So I feel your pain on that. I really do. I think it just comes to a point where getting rid of things might be really hard, but it might be a good choice if you can bring in pieces that you really love. And I have a really hard time forming attachment to things. Like, I just really love sentiment and all of that. So the nice thing about it is the idea of making new memories with new pieces. So finding a piece that you really, really love and that fits with the design that you want to have, with maybe clean, crisp lines or, just lighter colors. And, if you have that in your family for another 10, 15 years, you're going to develop new memories and new attachments to that. So that's something that you can always keep in mind too, as you're switching things in and out.
And it sounds like she has plenty to work with that she loves.
Yeah.
So what I've sort of discovered is that, because I'm with you there, I used to just stuff we were in an 1,100 square foot townhouse, and that thing was stuffed to the gills because I was holding things for my future home. I was, people were giving me stuff that I really loved and I didn't want to get rid of. And then when I moved into a bigger house, and I sort of started doing that again, but now I've been very much in the mindset of letting go of things, and it helps that I sell antiques.
Yes.
So I'm able to sell things that I don't want. But there were some sentimental pieces that were a little bit hard to get rid of because I inherited them from family members. I'd had them for a long time. I just hated to just sell them or just to take them to a thrift store or whatever. So what I did is I contacted our family members and I said, I have this beautiful curio from Aunt Marian. Would anybody like it? And one of my cousins really was interested in it, and she was just getting married and setting up her own household. So it was a real blessing to her for me to give it to her. And then I didn't feel bad at all about getting rid of it. Like, it was staying in our family. It was going to someone who really appreciated it
and needed it.
Needed it. Yeah. So I would seek out people in your family. First of all, I would pick out your very favorite pieces. Yes. Like, if the house burned down, what would you mourn the most? Because I think what you might find is that your style and your favorite pieces are buried with all of the other stuff. And I think you'll find, like, wow, my style, it's all under here somewhere. It just needs to be edited. And editing, I think, can be one of the hardest things to do in design.
Definitely.
And you'll find that the room will come together more if you take things away as opposed to adding new things. Right. So I would pick out your very, very favorite pieces, empty the room out, put your favorite ones back, put in what you need, like, functionally to live, like your couch or your TV or whatever it is. And then start accessorizing from there. And what you have left over, I would see if you can give it to family. And if other family members don't want it, then maybe see if you can sell it and turn it into something else. Right. But you should not feel a sense of obligation to have to keep stuff just because it's from your family. And it sounds like there's a look you want, and all of the stuff you have is preventing you from getting it. So you have to have a little
gumption,
a little conversation with yourself that, like, you know, I don't want to sit around in my dark, crowded room wishing and wanting for what I want. Like, just go for it. And I think you'll be happy with it. What you can always do too is, if you have a garage or a storage unit or something, is take the pieces out and just hold on to them for a few months. Like, don't get rid of them yet. See how you feel about it, and you might realize, like, you know, I don't even miss that stuff. Right. And then you feel better about selling it or passing it along to somebody else.
Yeah, and I think that helps to alleviate the fear of loss. You know, like, once I get rid of it, it's gone forever. But if you have that kind of in-between that you can kind of play with for a little while, that's really helpful too.
That's true, and I do that with a lot of stuff in my house. I'll take it, I'll put it in my basement, and just leave it for a few months, and then at that point, if I'm like, you know what, I don't miss it, I'm not sad about it being down there.
If you forget that it's there.
Right. And then I feel fine about selling it. And, you know, maybe there'll come a time where it's like, oh, I missed that piece, it was really beautiful, but it's like, you know, what I've gained outweighs that.
Yes.
But, I do agree. You don't want to traumatize yourself by, like, pulling, you know.
everything out all at one time.
There's my mother's piece, and there's my, you know. So... yeah, so I think that's a good way to have an in-between. And it's great, though, that you have, like, on the upside, it sounds like you have a lot of beautiful pieces to work with.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Which is kind of a nice problem to have, but now it's just about editing and controlling that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I hope that helps out some people who are holding on to too many things, or maybe the look that they really love is sort of buried under, you know, all of the stuff that they have. Right. Just free yourself of that. Yes. Like, be free of your stuff. It really is pretty liberating, I think.
I think we've both kind of been on that bandwagon recently, and just actually interviewed an interior designer last year, and she was talking about how she styles spaces, and she literally pulls everything out and lets the family pick, you know, a few of their most treasured possessions that they want to keep in the room. They put them back in the room, and they build the room around that. And that's what Marian was saying. You know, it really becomes then about what you really value and what you hold dear to your heart. And so when you build a room around that, I think the joy of that is going to outweigh anything that you're going to miss in getting rid of, you know, pieces that maybe right now you're attached to, but I think the end results will outweigh kind of that sadness.
I agree, because we get used to our stuff, and we start to not see, like, gosh, why do I even have that? I don't use it very often. It's just kind of there. And I do think once you start sort of shaking that up and picking what you really love, you end up with a much more refined look, I think.
And I think that kind of peaceful feeling will also settle in once you do that. Just like the liberation of getting rid of things and just having actual space in your room to, for the eye, for you to move around, that brings kind of a natural peace and just general, kind of satisfaction to the space.
I agree. And you want your home to be peaceful. You don't want to be sitting there thinking like, gosh, I have all this stuff and I like it all, but I'm sort of surrounded by it. Right. So, well, we hope that helps some of you out with maybe getting rid of a few things. And thanks for liking and commenting the video. And we hope to see you next time.
Yeah.